Let me tell you a story, one you probably won't like. There was once a guy who spent years chasing something called inner peace. You know, that Instagram-approved fantasy where a person sits by a window, sunlight touching their face like God's personal ring light, drinking herbal tea, smiling as if life never once punched them in the throat. Yeah, that peace, it doesn't exist. Not for him, not for you, not for anyone who's actually alive. The funny part? Realizing this isn't depressing, it's liberating as hell. Because the peace you're chasing is a scam, a marketing campaign, a spiritual Black Friday sale where they promise you that if you meditate hard enough by the right notebook or drink lemon water at 5 a.m., your brain will magically stop being a human brain. Meanwhile, real life is over there throwing unpaid bills at your face. Your uncle is sending those good morning blessed family messages, and you're stuck pretending that you'll somehow reach a permanent state of calm. As if life isn't built for calm. Life is friction. Life is spilled coffee, unexpected emails, and your brain reminding you at 2 a.m. that one embarrassing thing you said in 2017. And here's where the punchline hits. The problem isn't the chaos. The problem is that you think chaos shouldn't exist. You get stressed, then get stressed for being stressed. You get anxious, then blame yourself for not being grateful enough. You feel anger, then feel guilty for feeling anger. Congratulations. You're emotionally beating yourself up for being a mammal. Real peace isn't a sunset, a mantra, or a Himalayan monk certification. Real peace is brutally simple. It's the 5 seconds after the chaos, when you stop fighting reality and finally say, all right, it sucks, but here we go. That's it. Not transcendent, not magical, not Instagram-worthy, just human. People love talking about peace as if it's a superpower, but the first time real peace hits you, it doesn't feel holy. It feels stupidly ordinary. Let me show you. Imagine this. You're stuck on the side of the road. It's raining like God left the shower running. Your tire is flatter than your motivation on Monday morning, and you just spent 5 minutes inventing new swear words. Classic disaster. But then, something strange happens. You stop, you sigh, and your brain finally whispers the magical phrase. Well, crap. Let's call the insurance. That moment, right there, is peace. Not because the rain stopped, not because the universe aligned, not because you reached a higher vibration with your chakras in perfect HD. No, it's because you stopped fighting what is already happening. Peace isn't the absence of storms. It's realizing you look ridiculous screaming at the rain. But here's the twist. Most people don't know this because they're too busy trying to be spiritually perfect, smiling when they're angry, pretending they're grateful when they're exhausted, trying to feel zen while their life is burning like Season 8 of Game of Thrones. And the worst part? You think you're failing because you still feel things, as if being human is a bug. Here's your reality check. You don't need to become a floating monk. You just need to stop punching yourself for being alive. Peace isn't calmness. Peace is permission. Permission to have a bad day, to feel like crap, to mess up, to be human without turning your emotions into a self-hate Olympics. You don't fix negative feelings. You let them pass like a notification you don't care enough to open. And when you finally understand that, you get something better than inner peace. You get freedom. Everyone thinks peace is built by adding things to your life. Wake up at 5 a.m. Drink water with lemon. Meditate like a monk who hasn't paid taxes in 20 years. Buy a journal. Buy another journal. Try yoga. Pretend you love yoga. But here's the punchline. Peace doesn't come from what you add. It comes from what you stop giving a damn about. There's a tiny, hidden switch in your head. Small, beautiful, powerful. The not my problem button. And the moment you learn to press it deliberately, your life changes in ways no self-help book dares admit. Let me show you how it works. Your boss sends an email at 8:07 p.m. on a Friday. Just a small adjustment. Translation: a bomb disguised as politeness. Hold you? Opens instantly. Replies instantly. Ruins the whole night instantly. But the version of you who understands peace reads it, raises an eyebrow, and whispers, "This looks suspiciously like a Monday problem." Click. Button pressed. Peace level plus 100. You see a political fight online. 10 strangers screaming. Nobody listening. Everyone wrong. Old you jumps into the comments like a gladiator with a keyboard. New you scrolls past, makes a sandwich, and enjoys a quiet victory no one will ever know about. Click. Button pressed. Peace level plus 200. Someone sends you a passive-aggressive message. You feel the itch to defend yourself. Explain yourself. Write a paragraph. Delete it. Write it again. Delete it again. Old you takes the bait. New you looks at the phone like it's a mosquito and thinks, I'm not donating my sanity to this circus today. Click. Button pressed. Peace level legendary. People confuse this with apathy, as if ignoring problems makes them disappear. Yeah, except 90% of those problems were never yours to begin with. You just adopted them like stray irritations wandering through your day. Epicteto, Marcus Aurelius, those dusty stoic guys. They didn't preach weakness. They preached triage. Sort the chaos. Mine, not mine, absolutely not mine. And the secret is this. Most of what exhausts you is the emotional trash you pick up without noticing. Peace is simply refusing to be the world's unpaid trash collector. Stop carrying every mess. Stop answering every ping. Stop reacting to every spark like you're a firefighter of irrelevance. Choose one thing, just one, that you normally feel obligated to react to, and don't. Watch how nothing explodes. Watch how the world survives. Watch how your mind finally exhales. This is where peace begins. You say you want peace, but let's be honest. Peace terrifies you, not because it's hard, not because it's mystical, but because peace is quiet, and quiet exposes things you work very hard to avoid. Let me tell you a truth you won't like. You are addicted to chaos, not metaphorically, not poetically, literally, neurochemically. Your brain treats stress like a drug. If nothing is vibrating, ringing, exploding, or demanding your attention, your mind starts to cough like an addict between hits. 10 minutes of silence, instant panic. Did I lock the car? Did I offend someone in 2017? Let me check if the world collapsed in the last 5 minutes. Your brain hates boredom because boredom feels like death. So it creates tiny fires to stay alive. Let's walk through your day. You scroll the feed looking for something to be offended by. You join arguments no one wins. You take on tasks you don't care about just so you can complain later. You open conversations that were better left buried. All because drama gives you a little spike of meaning. A tiny jolt of adrenaline. A whisper that says, look, something is happening. You are alive. Peace doesn't give that. Peace gives stillness. And stillness forces you to face yourself. And that terrifies you more than any chaos ever could. The ancient philosophers had a name for this. Horror vacui, the fear of the empty. Your mind hates empty space, so it fills it with noise. If nothing is happening, you manufacture something. A fight, a worry, a self-criticism, a hypothetical disaster that has a 0.00001% chance of happening. You don't seek peace. You escape boredom, and the escape becomes your prison. So here's the tiny philosophical act for today. Sit still. No phone, no video, no music, just you. For 2 hours, your brain will scratch at the walls. It will beg for stimulation. It will invent problems. Good. That discomfort, that itch, that panic, that is your addiction leaving your system. And until you can sit with yourself without needing chaos to feel alive, you will never experience peace. Only distractions disguised as purpose. There's a moment everyone tries to escape. Not heartbreak, not failure, not loneliness, but the first 5 minutes of silence after you stop distracting yourself. It happens every time. You close the app. Your room gets quiet. Your thoughts stretch their arms like prisoners finally seeing light. And suddenly you feel it. That tightness in the chest. That restlessness in the hands. That urge to get up and do something. You call it anxiety. But let me tell you the uncomfortable truth. Most of what you call anxiety is just unprocessed life finally catching up to you. See, you spend your day running from yourself, scrolling to escape your thoughts, talking to escape your emotions, working to escape your fears, helping others to escape the help you owe yourself. But silence is a spotlight. And the moment that spotlight hits you, your mind panics. Not because silence is dangerous, but because silence reveals things you'd rather ignore. The relationship you should have left months ago. The dreams you abandoned. The anger you pretend you don't carry. The version of yourself you secretly fear you'll never become. Silence exposes that. And your brain, trying to protect you, screams. Quick, panic, move, distract yourself. Because if you stay still long enough, the truth starts talking. And the truth is loud. Here's the paradox. Silence is not the source of your anxiety. Silence is the mirror. The anxiety was already there. You just finally sat still long enough to feel it. And there's a philosophical term for this. The distraction machine. Camus talked about it. Pascal warned about it. What a miserable creature is man, he said, unable to sit quietly in a room alone. So here's the real challenge. The one that separates thinkers from reactors. Don't run. Stay. Breathe. Let the discomfort speak. Because discomfort is not danger. It's information. A message. A signal. The beginning of clarity feels like chaos. The beginning of healing feels like panic. The beginning of self-awareness feels like anxiety. But if you endure it, even for 5 minutes longer than usual, something incredible happens. Your mind stabilizes. Your breathing slows. And beneath all the noise and panic, you hear it. Your actual thoughts. Your actual self. Your actual direction. Peace isn't the absence of discomfort. It's the ability to sit with it without running. There comes a moment, and it happens to everyone who finally stops running, when your mind does something terrifying. It becomes honest. Brutally, painfully, uncompromisingly honest. No filters. No excuses. No imaginary villains to blame. No comforting lies to hide behind. Just truth. Let me show you how it happens. You're sitting there, finally still, finally calm, finally not reaching for your phone as a shield. At first, all you hear is noise. Anxiety, old fears, scattered thoughts. But then something shifts. The noise clears, like dust settling after years of chaos. And suddenly the thoughts you've avoided for months walk right up to you, and they speak, quietly, calmly, directly. Things like, you're not tired, you're unfulfilled. You don't miss that person, you miss who you were with them. You aren't lost. You've just been pretending you don't know the answer. You're not overwhelmed, you're underaligned. This is the moment people fear so much, that they drown themselves in distraction. Because the truth isn't loud. It's precise, sharp, surgical, and it cuts. But here's the part no one tells you. The moment your mind becomes honest is the moment your life begins. Not the day you graduate, not the day you get the job, not the day someone validates you, but the day you finally face the truth you've been rehearsing how to avoid. Because honesty does something that comfort never will. It breaks the spell. Suddenly, you see the patterns you've repeated for years. You see the people who drain you. You see the habits that sabotage you. You see the dreams you've postponed because you were afraid of failing. Or worse, afraid of succeeding. You see yourself, not the version you show the world. Not the version you pretend to be online. Not the version your parents expect. Just you. Raw, unfiltered, unedited. And for a moment, it's overwhelming. But then, it becomes liberating. Because once you see the truth, you can't go back to the lie. Your standards rise. Your relationships shift. Your goals sharpen. Your life rearranges itself around what is real. And that uncomfortable, life-altering clarity is the birthplace of critical thinking. Not books, not lectures, not motivational quotes, but the moment you stop lying to yourself. After the noise, after the chaos, after the honest truths your mind finally stopped hiding from you, you reach the last stage. Silence. Not the empty kind, not the lonely kind, not the nothing is happening kind, but the silence where everything inside you finally aligns. It's the moment when you exhale, not because the world became easier, but because you became clearer. The moment when your thoughts stop sprinting, your fears stop shouting, and for the first time in a long time, you hear yourself, deep down, under the layers, beneath the noise. And what you hear is simple. You're still in control. You can rebuild. You can think for yourself. You're allowed to start again. People think critical thinking is about being smart, but it's not. It's about being awake. Awake to your patterns. Awake to the narratives you were fed. Awake to the limitations you inherited, accepted, or created. Awake enough to question them. Brave enough to confront them. Strong enough to break them. Because once your mind becomes yours again, really yours, everything else changes. You choose better. You speak clearer. You see deeper. You walk differently. You stop living on autopilot and start living on purpose. And that is the real reward. Not perfection, not certainty, not control over everything, but clarity. Clarity that turns fear into direction. Clarity that turns mistakes into lessons. Clarity that turns life, your life, from something you react to into something you create. And just like that, your mind is no longer your enemy. It's your compass. Your silence is no longer empty. It's your foundation. Your thoughts are no longer chaos. They're your weapon. And you, for the first time in a long time, are unapologetically alive.